involved in projects? You have questions of how to improve them. You schedule, you plan, but things still go haywire. Or perhaps you're in procurement and you dip into projects. You get called in once the sourcing and planning decisions have been made, but you still get the blame when things don't go the way others anticipated. Regardless of where you sit, personally you're frustrated, the projects you work on need improvement, and organisationally, there are gaps in skills, knowledge and processes. Simply by watching these free training videos, you are going to be able to better run your projects. We're going to help you resolve project frustrations, we'll transform the way you think and approach projects, and we'll be teaching you how to improve your projects, your organisation, and most importantly, you personally. Hi, my name's Megan Patterson and I'd like to introduce the Project Procurement Institute. This is a new initiative born out of the desperate need we saw in the market for a project procurement training and advisory service. From our project management training company, Adaptive Frameworks, we work with many large corporate clients across all sectors. And I found one of the biggest areas of project frustration or simply failure was procurement within projects. I heard story after story of projects imploding, and upon further investigation, I found the common denominator was the way procurement was handled. So we also have a procurement advisory company called Mackenzie Forbes Group, which works with clients to run tenders, rationalise spend, source suppliers, set up best practice processes and save money across the organisation. So we understand both projects and procurement, and we've worked on both sides of the supply side as well as the sourcing side. So I mentioned all this to my father, what I was seeing and hearing, and he thought the answer was too simple, that there couldn't be such a need. So I invited him to come and spend time with my clients and see firsthand. So now I'm going to introduce him, Bill Welsh, and he can give you an overview of his background and how we came up for the need for this course.
Who I am, I'm Bill Welsh, and I'm 72 years of age. I've got 3 adult daughters, 9 grandchildren. I live on the surf coast here at Torquay, Australia, and that's the home of Rip Curl and Quicksilver and all the top surfing brands. I started my career when I was 13 years of age. That was back in 1955. I started in a grocery shop, and back in those days it was counter service, brown paper bags. You packed everything from sugar to flour to biscuits to eggs and so on. No self-service, no supermarkets. Hotels and bars, they all closed at 6 o'clock. Victorian era. But now how things have changed. In my day I had to go to night school to get what education I needed, to kick on to the next job. After doing that for a few years I ended up at Caterpillar Tractor Assembly Plant. And that started my purchasing and procurement life. In those days it was a follow-up clerk and went on to be an assistant buyer, and from there moved on up the chain as it were. Eventually I worked offshore in the oil and gas fields, laying a pipeline as a supervisor of purchasing, responsible for everything on the barge from food to components. That was my first introduction to a large-scale project. In those days you worked 28 days on and 5 days off. Good money, long hours, but lots of lessons learned. Continued on that until the early 70s, and then I went into the automotive industry, working for General Motors. Stayed there for 17 years, a long time, but covered everything in procurement, everything in project management, logistics, packaging, supplier development, and also was part of what they call the button plan, a rationalisation plan put forward by the government in those days to rationalise the supply chain. And good exposure, so it taught me a lot about SMEs and how they function. After that I realised I was going to rationalise myself out of a job, so I started my own business in the 80s in contract packaging, logistics and warehousing. And also while I was doing that moved on into exporting and manufacturing, into lean manufacturing and all the different processes from just in time right through the whole spectrum. I worked out of Australia, but I did a lot of time in the USA, in the Middle East and Asia. Since those days though I've got rid of most of my businesses, and for the last few years I've been putting that experience into a consultancies. We've got two consultancies. One is McKinsey Forbes Group. That handles all our procurement, our logistics, our supply chain functions, along with our procurement training programs. We also develop tools for purchasing, and we also have a consultancy business called Adaptive Frameworks. We do from Prince 2 right through the whole range of project management training programs. So I think we've got a little bit to offer. And the reason I've sort of went through that to tell you is that I simply wanted you to understand and know that what I've been developing in training has come from a hands-on, bottom-up effect from the workplace. And so I wanted you to have confidence, really, that to achieve success, you need to understand procurement and its importance at a grassroots level. It's not magic, it's just awareness and application. So come and join me, and we'll see where this leads. Come inside.
Well, you know, this need for procurement awareness was first raised a while back by a senior procurement executive of one of Australia's leading mining and oil and gas companies. We were asked if we could develop a training course to cover the importance of project procurement and the elements that are required in good procurement, particularly in relation to contracts and tenders. A simple request: project managers need to understand procurement. Well, as it was, I knew through our Adaptive Frameworks training business that the subject was actually hot. You know, while the Project Management Institute and the Chartered Institute of Purchasing and other bodies were coming up with the same issues. Well, this further confirmed the need that action was required, and that the whole subject was moving quicker than associations, universities or institutes can gear up to meet those issues. So I set about researching the subject, and believe you me, I've reviewed them a lot. I've lost sleep, I've worked long hours, I've done all those sorts of things, going through information and looking at all the different training solutions. And I believe that along the way, as we were developing our solution, that I've been challenged by the requirements for the actual individual for personal growth and how this now integrates within the work life cycle and in turn within the organisation. So let me really look at the question, why do projects fail? I mean, project failure or projects not succeeding the way you want them to go. Now, if you were to Google up the subject, you will find more reasons than you can shake a stick at. Everyone's got an opinion, everyone's an expert. And I'm sure you can add to the question yourself from your experiences. But in a nutshell, at the end of the day, what my research confirmed to me, and these facts were, of course, supported by organisations such as the Purchasing Institutes and other leading authorities. And very simply, the first issue was that project managers are unlikely to have fully accounted for problems produced by an incomplete considered procurement process. Not enough attention. And secondly, that the opportunities of operating within a participative and cooperative procurement strategy and environment have not been recognised. So the implications, quite simple, that when projects go wrong, it is likely that at least some of the blame can be attributed to the failure to plan and manage the procurement agendas appropriately. That's really it in a nutshell. So we have to concentrate on that. Thank you.
Okay, let's go and spend some time on the content. I'm going to cover off in this video definitions and the skills and knowledge that you need. You have a PDF there and you can follow it and fill in as we go through. Any comments or questions, please type in the comment box and I'll get back to you. Let's go.
Okay, and welcome to the learning part of the video. Just to get everyone on the same page, I thought we'd start with some definitions. Project management. This is the act of planning, delegating, monitoring, and control of all aspects of the project, and the motivation of those involved to achieve the project objectives within the expected performance targets for time, cost, quality, scope, benefits, and risk. I got that definition directly from the Axelos Managing Successful Projects with Prince 2 manual. We also teach Prince 2, which is our Project Management International Certification. So if you want any more information on that, just let me know, but that's where I got that definition. Project is a temporary organisation that is created for the purpose of delivering one or more agreed business products. Procurement. Procurement is the overarching function that describes the activity and processes to acquire goods and services. Importantly and distinct from purchasing, procurement includes the activities involved in establishing the requirements, sourcing activities such as market research and vendor evaluation, and of course negotiation of contracts. It can also include the purchasing activities required. So purchasing. This just refers to the process of ordering and receiving goods and services. It's a subset of the wider procurement process. So generally, purchasing refers to the process involved in ordering goods, requisition processing, approval and creation of the purchase order, and or the receipting of goods and that have been received. Project procurement. So this is both a term and a process that is used to describe and achieve the acquisition of goods and services to best serve the deliverables of the project objectives. Project objectives are predetermined primarily in the project startup phase, and then there are a set of procurement activities undertaken in accordance with the project procurement plan to help achieve those objectives. So knowing and understanding the objectives of the project is what drives project procurement. It's a critical aspect of the project as the activities work to ensure that the project runs according to plan in terms of scope, time, quality, cost and risk. Therefore, project procurement planning and delivery is vital to achieving a successful outcome of a project. Now some acronyms. RFT, request for tender. RFQ, request for quotation. RFP could be request for purchase or proposal. And EOI is the expression of interest. Okay, skills and knowledge. Let's have a look. If there is one ingredient that most effectively increases the chance of project success, it is expertise. Hence, where a project lacks the knowledge and skills, we're going to see quality levels and productivity that are lower, and we're going to see that risk of serious errors or omissions increase. So what do we have to do? We know that now procurement skills and knowledge are required more than ever. Now, obviously, we agree with that statement, but unfortunately, we see so many project managers and team members carrying the pain and finger pointing when projects go off the rails. If you've experienced this, you're not alone. We work globally in both developed and emerging markets, and we see the same issue everywhere. Everyone is facing it. It is an industry-wide problem. There are so many managers, team members, and stakeholders that take a back seat during meetings. No one's taking any leadership responsibility and they're leaving it to a higher authority. As part of the team, you can influence the outcome, and this is what we want to be able to empower you to do, to lead from the front and show your authority. So why do these things happen? We know that projects can be put together really quickly. You see project managers and teams that have been appointed, budgets and timing are predetermined, and then what do you have to do? You have to pedal to achieve. However, if you are informed and you are confident, you can influence the direction of the project by spending time at the beginning, working with stakeholders and creating yourself a solid base. So what is there to understand about procurement? Some of the skills that you need to have to ensure that products are delivered on time and to budget, that there are legally binding contracts in place, that supply has fulfilled the laws of the country, that OH&S or occupational health and safety, trade practice and ethics are all transparent, that company policies and programs are adhered to, that risk assessments have been undertaken, you have established weighting criteria, and that the negotiation processes are understood and are proactive. We want to make sure that the tender preparation, evaluation and execution follows a set process, that supplier selection and evaluation follows best practice processes, that responsibilities within the team are defined and understood, that the relationship between the project team and procurement is proactive and collaborative, and that we have finalisation and review processes in place. We can keep adding to this list, it seems to be never ending. We're just trying to stress here that more than just relationships amongst stakeholders, while that is vitally important, it is also about learned knowledge. So, activities involved in project procurement. We look at it basically in 4 stages. Stage 1 is the procurement and planning phase. Stage 2 is assisting with the selection of the suppliers. Stage 3 is the tender or contract preparation, evaluation and administration. And then stage 4, you've got finalising and reviewing of procurement, project procurement. How well did it perform? Okay, planning for procurement. We need to make sure that products and services are available when required, that they meet necessary conditions and quality requirements, and so research and planning is essential. Also, assisting in the selection of the supplier. This requires an understanding of both the market and the context of your project. We need to clearly articulate the specifications and scope for what's being purchased to meet the project requirements. You can use a range of processes from your RFTs, Qs, RFPs, or EOIs. The selection should be against established criteria. The selection of the supplier provides an opportunity to use a competitive process, and this will help us drive value for money. We understand that in some cases, such as the government sector, there might be rules and guidelines about tendering and the purchasing processes to be used. We are not asking you to dilute those. We are trying to teach you how to use those in conjunction with best practice to ensure that your project will run smoothly and successfully. So let's look at the tender or contract preparation and evaluation. For a direct purchase, once you've selected your vendor and transacted the sale, no further interaction with the vendor is usually required. However, if there's a contract to provide products and services over a period of time, then the contract must be managed to see that those obligations are met. Good contract administration hinges on clear understanding of the requirements and good communication. So, finalising the procurement process. Once products are received, they must be assessed to ensure they presented value for money and that they were fit for the purpose for which they were intended. Contract evaluation. We need to review that the performance standards were met and how the contractor performed over the life of the contract.
Okay, so remember, the fastest route to successful project delivery is you acquiring the skills and knowledge needed. Thanks for following through with me. Again, any questions or comments, and please let me know.
Hi, good to be back with you. Let me cap off this first video with a statement from John Maxwell. John is one of the world's leading leadership training authorities. This was a statement he was given by him to support a training in procurement program which was run by Chaz Dominic of Next Level Purchasing. He said this: once you understand your influence, only then will you be able to become the leader you're meant to be. Discovering your leadership style advances your influence by developing your awareness of the symbolic relationship with the two skills. You will in turn grow and of course grow others. You know, when you're done with a project, don't you wish to leave a legacy? I agreed with that, and I thought, you know, really, you do owe it to yourself to not only acquire the skills and knowledge, but to ensure your personal growth and the leadership that will equip you and make you stand out in the crowd. You deserve to get recognition and reward for your knowledge and your input into projects. So the training programs we've developed are simple yet thorough. And I'll give you some more examples in the next video. As I'm finalising this one now and we're working on it, I know it will enhance your career, but I'd like to ask you if you could make some more comments, ask me questions, because I need them, because I want to be sure that I cover what you want to know. So if you could do that, it would be great. Thank you.
Okay, thanks again for joining us, and I look forward to building on this training in video 2, where we're going to cover risks and supplier intent, how to ensure you are proactive and not simply reacting to the market. If you have any questions or comments on these topics, please post them so we can cover them off. See you in video 2.